Today's video, we're going to be looking at Lunar Tides in the color Beetle Green. I have my swatches labeled 1 through 12, but that is not synonymous with hair levels. Pause. So I'm editing and I realized that, as I said, these are 1 through 12. I only have my camera focused in on 1 through 11, and you cannot see 12 in this shot, and you will not be able to see 12 until later in the video. Fortunately, I do befores and afters, so if you're really looking forward to seeing the number 12 before it's dyed, I will have a clip of that later in the video. But if you're wondering why I say 1 through 12 and there's no 12, it's my fault. It's there, you just can't see it in frame. I'll be doing close-ups and pictures at the end of the video, so the numbers are just to help us keep track. These are also human hair, but they are not all virgin hair. The only one that technically is virgin hair is going to be the number 4 black swatch, but the rest have probably been bleached and dyed in their lifetimes. One is pink, red and green are across from each other on the color wheel, so I wanted to see if the green would neutralize the pink at all. 2 is gray. 3 is a natural red, 4 is black, and then from 4 to 11, there's a range that goes to platinum blonde, and then number 12 is kind of like a toned version of number 11. So to start, I'll be taking the dye directly from the container, and I'll be putting it at the top of each swatch. And then some people do dilute their dyes, so I'll do a diluted version at the bottom of each swatch. Please keep in mind, everyone's hair is different, which means everyone's hair will take dye differently. So just use my video as a reference as to how it could possibly turn out for you. For the diluted section, we're going to try equal parts. So that'll be 1 part of dye to 1 part diluter. If you're unsure what diluter is, simple, easy answer is that it lightens the color of your dye, essentially. And if you're curious, I just use a plain white conditioner for diluter. I'm gonna let these sit for about 3 hours. I will then rinse them out, and once they're dry, I will meet you back here. So based off of the color on the website, I expected this to actually be a little bit more pastel than it turned out to be. And actually, mine turned out a little bit more green than the picture on the Lunar Tides website. Could just be my swatches though. I would say I can see a difference starting at number 6 on the direct dye portion, but I think I like 10 through 12 the most personally, but even the number 9 swatch dyed pretty well. The pink swatch does look a little bit more neutralized. It does still lean a little bit green now, actually, even on the diluted portion. So if you diluted this a little more, you might be able to neutralize some of the pink out of your hair. Of course, the gray swatch looks the most cool tone and leans a little bit more blue versus the more blonde swatches. And then the natural red, it turned to more green on the direct dye. And I would say it actually does look more neutralized on the bottom. It still holds slightly red, but I'm pretty sure you'll probably be able to see in the before and after clips that the diluted section doesn't look quite as red as it did before. Also, keep in mind that because these swatches are not virgin hair, that could be why they take dye so well sometimes. And so if you have like darker hair or even like darker blonde hair, there is a chance that the dye, even if it did dye, it wouldn't stay in very long. So for comparisons, I have two that I wanted to do today. The first is going to be Arctic Fox in the color Iris Green. This is comparable to number 12. This is comparable to number 11. And this is comparable to number 10. So I've noticed on the Arctic Fox website, for certain colors, they have a dark, a mid-tone, and a light version. So the Iris Green is like the mid-tone green for the greens that they have on their website. So that explains why it does look a little bit darker on the direct dye portion. But honestly, undertone-wise, they are very, very similar. Especially on the Platinum Blonde swatch, they come out looking very close to each other. So in reality, you could dilute Iris Green a little bit to get a color like Beetle Green, but they're really not that far off from each other. So especially if you have platinum blonde hair, you probably could just use Beetle Green and get a similar result. The other comparison I wanted to do today is Lime Crime's Jello. This is comparable to number 12. This is comparable to number 11 and number 10. So when I did Jello, I was doing my swatches a little bit differently, and one of those things I did different was the amount of diluted spaces I did. So there's 2 diluted sections here. So I'm just gonna use a piece of paper to help us look at the direct dye portions only. These two are also very, very similar, but I think the Iris Green is a little bit closer in undertone. I feel like the Jello leans slightly more warm, like there's just a tiny, tiny little bit more yellow in that green. And again, it's the most similar on the Platinum Blonde swatch. The Jello, to me, it looks like it also dyes a little bit darker. And I feel like you can really see that on the toned swatch, but I think you can see it on the Platinum Blonde swatch too. And I don't know, again, if you can really tell, like there is a slight difference, but again, it's very, very minimal. And I truly think it's just a hair, tiny bit more of yellow in the Jello. Oh, that kind of rhymed. All right, so now I'd like to get into the before and after clips where you can see the before 12 and the after 12. I do use natural lighting, and especially in the winter, it can be so hard to recreate the exact same environment with natural lighting. So if anything does look slightly off, that's probably why. I hope this video helped. If you have a request, I do have a link below to a Google form you can fill out. Just remember, I only do dies that do not test on animals. Thank you to my patrons, and thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video.